and welcome back to my channel called Zuzanareacts, where I learn all things Part with your help. And I just shared my Slovak Central European point of view. And in today's video, we are going to look into Major Arya and about India's unmatched stability in the world. So I'm very, very curious what we will learn. I'm going to do this video in two parts, an hour-long talk. But before we jump into today's video,
please like this video and click on the subscribe button and turn on the notification. Thank you so much for your support.
Let's go, I say.
Ladies and gentlemen, I extend a very warm welcome to all of you for this event titled Cracking the Code with Major Gaurav Arya. It is an absolute pleasure to have him here with us today. His experience, research, analysis, and in-depth knowledge could easily title him as the astrologer of global geopolitics. I have been personally following him for a number of years, and whatever his views have been stated in the past have really come true. I'm sure that the event would be extremely insightful and enlightening for all of us.
So somebody, of course, starting with yourself, see, why, where, how, and objective of the Chanakya Forum.
So first of all, thank you very much for the lovely introduction, and Abhishek, thank you very much for calling me here. This entire journey of Chanakya Forum started during the initial face-off of the Chinese army and the Indian army along the line of actual control. आपको पता ही है, line of actual control तकरीबन 3,500 किलोमीटर से ज़्यादा लंबी एक de facto border है, और उस de facto border के उस तरफ चीन है, या फिर आप तिब्बत कह सकते हैं, जो कि एक occupied territory है, और इस तरफ भारत है. और उस समय काफी रूमर्स फैले थे कि चाइना ने 1500 किलोमीटर, 2000 किलोमीटर, 5000 किलोमीटर भारत की भूमि घेर ली है. और अनफॉर्चुनेटली कुछ लोग, एक दो, ज्यादा नहीं थैंकफुली, बट एक दो वेटरन्स भी थे जो ये बातें कर रहे थे इंटरनेशनल न्यूज़पेपर्स में कि इतनी भूमि घेर ली है भारत की. तो कुछ आर्टिकल्स छपे वॉशिंगटन पोस्ट में, कुछ आर्टिकल्स छपे न्यूयॉर्क टाइम्स में और बड़े बड़े अखबारों में. तो हमने भी कोशिश करी कि जो सच्ची बात है, जो एक्सपर्ट्स की बात है, वो सबके सामने रखी जाए. नो, एक बात का एहसास है, आई रियलाइज वन थिंग, दैट वी आर नथिंग इन फ्रंट ऑफ न्यूयॉर्क टाइम्स, एब्सोल्युटली नथिंग. बट Chanakya Forum in one sentence is it is an act of defiance. It is not a geopolitical platform. It is an act of defiance. It is an act of trying to protect your motherland from. It's like a line of control. That is what we wanted to do, to tell the truth to people, to tell people that this is the truth about what the Chinese army is doing, to tell people the truth that this is what the Indian army is doing. And till the Indian army is there at the border, there is nothing to fear. That was the core emotion of Chanakya Forum, and then it morphed into something else also. वो बाद में फिर बढ़ता चला गया.
See, as we see geopolitics, when you talk about, I think starting from Ramcharitmanas, because that again was geopolitics. कि रामचंद्र जी ने क्यों वानर सेना और पशु सेना ली और मारी, और of course वानरों को लेके और भालुओं को लेके सेना बनाई, क्योंकि शायद उस समय उस संख्या में वो थे, और साथ में प्रॉब्ली रावण के आदमियों को इन जानवरों से युद्ध करना नहीं आता था. जानवर तो कहना गलत होगा, मतलब पशुओं से युद्ध करना नहीं आता था. तो एक जियोपॉलिटिक्स था. दूसरा जियोपॉलिटिक्स शायद ब्रिटेन के साथ भी देखा जाता. तो जब ब्रिटिश सरकार आई इस देश में 1757 odd, so we had 24% of the world GDP, and when the Britishers left us, we were having a 2% of the world GDP, which is 20. So probably that was also a geopolitical game as far as the British is concerned. Now, after all those things and all those which is happening, now as of now, of course, we are growing. We are on planet to become a developed nation. हो सकता है, of course, और जैसा चल रहा है. So how do you perceive the position of India? Of course, I know it can be a very long answer, but see the position of India geopolitically and how way forward. How do you place this country, of course, and being UP is the largest state, so we are, of course, more troubled about it, thoughtful about it.
There was a report by Bloomberg recently, as recent as 2 months back, in which Bloomberg said that UK has 75% chances of getting into recession and India has 0% chances. So out of the entire spectrum of developing and developed countries, India had the least percentage of chances of getting into recession. So that is one thing. That is the economics of it. You know, 5th largest economy, hopefully will become the 3rd largest economy. You know all of that. That is one piece. So the second piece here is also the fact that there is no country in the world today, no country, with this kind of political stability. And I'm not saying it because of an X, Y, or Z political party. That is not my intent. If you look at the United States of America, you know how fragile it is. Germany is in recession. Japan is in recession. China is ruled by a dictator. And Putin is a mixture of a dictator and he's got some serious issues, but I'm sure he's a friend of India, but he does stuff. And Trump is scary, by the way, sir. Trump is scary. Even his friends are more scared of him than his enemies. So Trump is scary. So all of that put together, you'll realize that if there is an island of sanity in this world today, you'll see it is India. And also what the defense minister said some time back, that we are the net security providers in the Indian Ocean region. So the Indian Navy has carried out more than 28 operations in the seas, high seas, over a period of, let us say, the past 2 months, and saved as many ships. So we are not only saving Indian ships, we are impacting global trade. I mean, because everything comes to India and everything goes from India. In fact, if you look at the India, Middle East, Europe economic corridor, which everybody is speaking about, it starts from India. India is the linchpin, so to say. It starts from India. So the world is looking at India as a place that is politically stable, that is economically growing. And India is seen as a global power. Very recently, Saudi Arabia said India should be a part of the United Nations Security Council. I think day before yesterday. Yeah, 2 days. Saudi Arabia formally said India should be. So except for China, and of course Pakistan, which is inconsequential because nobody cares about Pakistan, but except for China, everybody in the world is saying that India should be part of the United Nations Security Council, and that is going to happen. It may take some time, but it's going to happen. So yes, we are very, very strongly positioned. And I personally think, I could be a bit of an optimist here, but I personally think that the target given by the Prime Minister of 2047, India becoming a developed country, I think we should make it before that, because there is immense potential, and all that you need to do is let the people run as fast as they can, and it'll happen. So I'm sure things are in place, and I'm extremely, extremely positive about the future. I was just telling Abhishek before the start of the talk, the next 5 years are going to be terrifyingly fast. The next 5 years, absolutely.
But when, of course, the question which comes along with this, of course, one more questions. And one thing I was just visualizing or going to the Indian budget. So why has the defense expenditure, means I'm talking about other than, of course, the salaries and pensions, why has the defense expenditure vis-a-vis the GDP, means the percentage of the GDP is going down of India? Of course, in number terms, it's going up, but as percent of GDP is going down, whereas in all other countries going up. So why are we not, you're saying what, of course, our defense corridors are going up, then why is the defense expenditure not coming as much as it should come vis-a-vis the GDP?
Okay, the correct answer to this question is that I don't know. Okay. But I will still say something, that I am happy that the education budget is more than the defense budget. I was talking to a Pakistani person, and he's a senior officer, former senior officer in the Pakistan Army, and we were talking about weapon systems. And very interestingly, he said that, do you know which is our best weapon that we have? And he's asking me, and he mentioned, I think, Hath for Shaheen or some missile. And he says, which is your best weapon? He asked me, and I said, our best weapon is the IIT, And as long as we have IIT, we'll make many more Agnis. We'll make many more Prithvis. So,
okay, what is IIT? IIT? Let me know, please.
That is one thing. And the second thing is, I don't think our defense budget is any less. What is happening with our defense budget is, every now and then the government is spending money. There is massive, capital outlay in terms of buying stuff. Only day before yesterday, 19,000 crores. 19,000 crores on 200 BrahMos missiles for the Indian Navy. And before that, they were buying planes, and they're buying ammunition, and they're just buying. I've never seen this in the Indian Army.
But of course, as far as the practical budget estimates of 2024-25, 23-24 are lesser. And similarly, of course, education, as you rightly said, it's going up. But when you talk about Indian education vis-a-vis the percentage of GDP, again, it's not as much. It's probably 100th worldwide. If you go in the world, yes. But if you see the 100, for example, 100, even 100 there, of course, we're digressing. So let's come directly to the topic, because that's basically not there. Now, of course, in the global conflicts in the span of 2 years, when we see the Ukraine war, Russian-Ukraine war, we see the Israel and Hamas problem, or when we see this Iran, and of course, this Iran, Pakistan, and all this, how these coming in. So where do you feel? In fact, probably a lot of problems are arising in this part of the world. So what do you feel is will be the outcome of this, and how long do you think they're going to be aggravated? Because everybody's becoming sort of panicky about it.
First of all, so with your permission, I'd like to go back to the previous question. You said that, if you say the top 100 about education and all that.
Percentage of GDP.
Yeah. The issue is that there is no other country in the world which is so mind-bogglingly complex like India. So it's not easy for India. This is perhaps the most difficult country in the world to rule. China could have been another country, very difficult to rule. But the thing with China is that, all Xi Jinping has to say is go to sleep, and everybody goes to sleep at 10 o'clock. That's how it works in China. If Putin does not like you, you go to Siberia. You can't do that in India. And to manage a country of 140 crore people is extremely, extremely complex. And here you have to take opinions.
So this is interesting when he says, like, if Putin has says that, you know, we don't like you, go to Siberia. Now, I know that your sentiments are very pro, you know, because of the historical ties with Russia. However, you're also a democratic country. So in my head, there is this kind of like, how does that work? That you, even though like in, you know, in 71 or when that was, and they supported you, it feels like that sentiment rises from that event. But like, how can you as a country or as people support, you know, like that type of regime when you're saying that you're democratic and you like free will, which clearly is not what's happening in Russia? I would, you know, I don't come from a very like any mean point of view or anything like that, but I just don't understand that logic. And if you could help me understand that, it would be greatly appreciated. Thank you. Please do let me know in the comments.
That is, I'm not saying that is a problem. Now you mentioned about conflicts. You mentioned about Israel and Hamas and Russia and Ukraine. So there are two things which are very different amongst these wars. The first thing is that if you see the Russia-Ukraine war, it has not spread. So there are two kinds of escalations in conflict. One is vertical escalation. Vertical escalation is when you start firing weapons of a higher caliber. So let's say you're firing a 9mm, then you fire a 5.56, then you fire a 7.62. It keeps on going up and up and up and up. You start using more and more dangerous weapons. That is called vertical escalation. The second term that I would like to bring to your notice here is horizontal escalation. Horizontal escalation is when there is geographical spread of the war.
Mm-hmm.
You have seen a lot of vertical escalation in the Russia-Ukraine conflict, and you have seen a lot of horizontal escalation in the Hamas-Israel conflict.
Yes, absolutely. Correct.
So the first conflict, that is Russia and Ukraine, first I'm saying in terms of calendar years, the first conflict is a highly contained conflict. But what has happened is that 6 months back, Russia had 17.5% of Ukraine's landmass. Today, they have nearly 25% of Ukraine's landmass. And this is why I often tell people, and when I go to these embassy meetings sometimes and I meet diplomats, they don't like what I say. But I think we are treading the right path because of one simple thing, that we have decided not to trust the West so much, except for France. You know what has happened to Zelensky, sir? Zelensky को एक बात बोली कि चढ़ जा बेटा सूली पे, भला करेंगे राम. उसको चढ़ा दिया. Zelensky got crazy. He said, I'll do this, I'll do that, don't worry. अब मैं आ रहा हूं and I'll sort out Putin. What has happened? He's lost 1/4 of his country. And another very interesting thing happened, let me tell you, with regard to this entire war that happened. The interesting thing that happened was that Boris Johnson, when he was the Prime Minister of UK, Boris Johnson, Erdogan and other people, they wanted a peace deal. They said, लड़ाई वड़ाई बंद करो यार, problem है इसमें. They wanted a peace deal. उन्होंने बोला कि peace deal होनी चाहिए. And they sent the peace deal to Putin. Putin took a look at it. They sent the peace deal to Zelensky. He took a look at it. And they said, okay, let's talk. Both said, we are open to meeting each other. Let's end the war. You know who did not want the war to end? It was Boris Johnson of UK.
Okay, can I just correct this one here? Like, Boris Johnson hasn't been a prime minister for many, many years. So I don't know what I know about what he's saying. And I know that it was Boris Johnson and it's kind of well known by now. But, you know, now it's Rishi Sunak. Before it was Theresa May, before, you know, who was there? The guy that, Cameron, who has secured the Brexit. So Boris Johnson, yeah, he was kind of in between, but Boris Johnson hasn't been the prime minister when this war broke. So I just kind of want to straighten this out. But he clearly has been involved in some capacity, which I don't quite understand why. But what he's saying definitely happened.
Johnson said, this is nonsense. How can you stop the war? आपको पैसा चाहिए, पैसा लो, मैं पैसा देता हूं आपको, आप लड़ते रहो. So Zelensky was fighting, and then Zelensky, over a period of a year into the war, realized that, you know, war is good. So there is a saying, okay, which I have made up right now. All right, so there is no saying. I'm just making this up. So Zelensky thought that patriotism is good, but patriotism plus 10% is still better. So what Zelensky did was he started stealing money. And Zelensky has pilfered billions of dollars of funds that were given originally to fight the war. So now, earlier it was Boris Johnson who wanted the war to continue and Zelensky who wanted the war to stop.
So it's very interesting what he's saying, that like it's well known So Ukraine wants to join NATO and European Union, and but on the index, and like, I'm not saying anything out of crazy, it's that's kind of like the most corrupt country. So when he talks about the money and stuff, it does not surprise me. There are stories how when the war started, people were trying to migrate through, let's say, Hungary, and someone was told with like a suitcase of excessive amounts of money. So yeah,
Today it is Rishi Sunak who wants the war to stop, and it is Zelensky who wants the war to go on. This is what is happening. As far as the Israel-Hamas issue is concerned, sir, the world is telling Netanyahu to stop. He's not going to stop. And there are two reasons for it. One is that the Israelis have been caught unawares. And it looks very bad. Because the Israelis, their security, that was world famous, obviously. And I spoke to a very senior Israeli person 6 months back, and he told me one thing. He says, our entire security depends upon one thing. I said, so what is that? He says, intelligence, fantastic intelligence, great special forces, this, that, satellites, everything. That is all okay. But our intelligence and our security depend on one thing, that everybody in the Middle East realizes that Israel is the mad guy in the room. He actually told me, he says, we have to behave like madmen. So every time our response is disproportionate. So no. So what is happening? What is happening with Israel and Hamas right now is Israel is saying we must crush Hamas, and I'll tell you why. Because nobody's broaching that topic that needs to be broached and that needs to be spoken about. And the topic is, let us say the war stops, and let us say that there is a two-state solution. Philistine apni jagah ban gaya, Israel apni jagah ban gaya, beech mein ek border hai. Done. This happened in 2005 also. ये 2005 में भी हुआ था, where Israel withdrew absolutely unilaterally from Gaza, and they said, ये आपका West Bank है, ये आपका Gaza है, ये आप सब ले लो, हम अपने वापस जा रहे हैं. Israel said that, and then again Hamas attacked. So who's giving the guarantee that Israel will not be attacked? Which is why all the Israelis today are saying that, let's be absolutely clear, है ना, जब तक Hamas खत्म नहीं होगा, ये लड़ाई चलती रहेगी. They have a team called Kidon. I don't know, Abhishek, if you've heard of Kidon. Yeah. They've sent Kidon, and Kidon operatives, I believe, are in Qatar. For those of you who do not know, Kidon is the special assassination unit of the Mossad.
Oh, wow.
So the Mossad has actually sent its operatives to Qatar and Turkey to eliminate Hamas. So this is what is happening on a wide scale. And Netanyahu is not going to stop, because even America is saying that, they'll say, America will say, Netanyahu, you've got to stop, you've got to stop. And then, right. Because America is not saying stop hard enough. अच्छा, America stop भी कह रहा है और उसको हथियार भी दे रहा है. Have you seen शोले? Okay. वो वीरू टावर के ऊपर चढ़ता है, शराब पीकर मौसी से बोलता है कि शादी नहीं करी तो मैं कूद जाऊंगा. That is Pakistan. So Pakistan, no, I have written an article about this. It's called the Viru effect. Pakistan behaves exactly like Viru, that if you don't do what I say, I will jump off. अब ये लोग क्या करते हैं मैं आपको बताता हूँ. ये ऐसे कोई हथियार यूज नहीं करेंगे. आई एम नॉट वेरी कन्विंस्ड कि इनके चलते भी होंगे. लेकिन what the Pakistanis do very well is they have managed to convince the West, and here is a problem, and it's a very big problem. They have managed to convince the West that if we are unstable, our nuclear weapons will fall in the hands of the Taliban or the Al-Qaeda or the Islamic State or XYZ terror factory. They will take care of our nuclear weapons, and then they say, no, they are in very good control, but you have to keep on funding us so that we control our weapons. Now here is the issue. There was when Pervez Musharraf was in power, there was an assassination attempt on Pervez Musharraf. There was a bridge, and वो bridge पार करके घर जाते थे, and there were people wanting to blow up the bridge and kill Pervez Musharraf. He was the army chief at that point in time. So essentially what happened was that Pervez Musharraf, they tried to kill him, and who was the one who tried to kill him? There were 5 people from the Pakistan Air Force. There were 5 people from the Pakistan Air Force who tried to kill their own army chief and president at that point in time. When we talk about Pakistani nuclear weapons falling into the hands of the Taliban or the Al-Qaeda or the Islamic State, let me also tell you that Taliban and Al-Qaeda, they're essentially a mindset. These are not terror groups. This is a mindset issue. And that mindset exists inside the armed forces of Pakistan. Am I making sense? They don't have to fall in the hands of Al-Qaeda. They are already in the hands of Al-Qaeda. Because Al-Qaeda is a mindset issue. Al-Qaeda is not a shop with a neon sign, no, welcome to the office of Al-Qaeda. It's not like that. It's a mindset issue. And it's already there in the hands of people who have the, the motto of the Pakistan army? Okay. So earlier when Pakistan was created, the motto of the Pakistani army was unity, faith and discipline. Unity, faith and discipline. Now, the motto of the Pakistani army is Iman Taqwa Jihad Fi Sabilillah. Essentially, the avowed aim of the Pakistan army is to fight jihad against India. It is their official motto. You can look it up on their website. I mean, I'm not making this up. Our website pe jaake dekh lijiye. It's Iman Taqwa Jihad Fi Sabilillah. That, so you are going to war against a rogue army. An army that does not follow the rules based. There is no honor in their fighting. Right? And they have created these terror groups. They have created all these terror groups because of one thing only. One reason. Have you heard of the Fauji Foundation? Some of you may have. Fauji Foundation is a group of Pakistani companies. And do you know the net worth of Fauji Foundation? It is in excess of $100 billion US. $100 Arab की है Fauji Foundation. कई साल पहले, 2-2.5 decades पहले, it used to be $25 billion. You must read Aisha Siddiqa's book, Military Inc. Aisha Siddiqa, she's a Pakistani scholar, writes extremely well, and she wrote a book on Pakistan's military economy. After that book was published, she could not enter Pakistan. She lives in London.
Wow.
But today, Fauji Foundation has a business, you know, that their entire business, the net worth, is more than $100 billion US. So you are looking at an entity. You're looking at an entity that fights, that promotes terrorism, that promotes jihad, that fixes elections, that does business. And they're very successful businessmen. They're more successful businessmen than their soldiers. And they've made lots of money. They do land grab. They fix the stock markets. They refine oil. They do real estate. They do big time construction contracts. And they also deal in animal skins, and they manufacture baby diapers also. Yes. So mineral water, baby diapers, cornflakes. ये सब बनाते हैं Fauji Foundation, and it's a $100 billion enterprise. It's pretty massive.
Now, of course, देश में आ जाते हैं. Coming back to India, Northeast is one region जो एक देश का हिस्सा है जहाँ काफी समय से कुछ न कुछ conflict होती जा रही है, violence भी हो रहा है, हो सकता है चाइना promoted हो सकता है, religion हो या म्यांमार हो या, और उसके बारे में ना तो मीडिया को ज्यादा बोलता है ना गवर्नमेंट बोलता है. तो what is happening as such, लोगों को ये नहीं पता कि नॉर्थ ईस्ट में जो रेगुलर कॉन्फ्लिक्ट्स हो रही हैं तो उसके पीछे क्या है, what is the reason behind all those conflicts, and why is generally the public or the government agencies very silent about it?
Sir, government agencies are silent about everything. They don't talk. मीडिया को इंटरेस्ट नहीं है. हम लोग कभी कभी मीडिया से बहुत ज्यादा उम्मीद रख लेते हैं कि ऐसा होना चाहिए वैसा होना चाहिए. अब वो मीडिया हाउस का जो मालिक है, he also, I mean, many of them follow the true path of journalism and they try to do their best. But all of them have to give salary on the first, not to their employees. अब पैसा आएगा कहां से? पहली तारीख को तनख्वाह देना, ये तो एक सच्चाई है. पहले को नहीं देगा, 7 को देगा, महीने में एक बार तो तनख्वाह देगा वो. Where does that money come from? That money comes from ads. And who gives the ads? If tomorrow you start criticizing, let us say, some agency, and that agency has an advertisement budget of 2,000 crores, do you think you will get those 2,000 crores? So that is one thing. Second thing is that Northeast has been neglected for a very, very long time. बहुत समय से, आज की बात नहीं है. And like Kashmir, and I'm making this statement publicly, like Kashmir, Northeast is also initially New Delhi's fault. ये गलती हमारी है Northeast में. कश्मीर में भी गलती, बाद में पाकिस्तान ने फायदा उठाया, पाकिस्तान ने टेररिज्म करी, चाइना ने वहां पे फायदा उठाया, टेररिज्म करी, इतने ग्रुप्स बनाए, ये सब ठीक है. You got to talk to people. You see, इसको बोल के इसको मार देंगे. These things don't solve anything. In the end, you have to talk to people. वो कैरेट एंड स्टिक अप्रोच आपको करना पड़ेगा. जो बैड एलिमेंट्स हैं उनको एलिमिनेट करके गुड एलिमेंट्स को आपको बात करनी पड़ेगी. यू हैव टू मेन स्ट्रीम, बिकॉज इन अ सोसाइटी ऐसा नहीं होता कि सभी अच्छे हैं सभी खराब हैं. हर जगह मिक्स एंड मैच किस्म के लोग होते हैं. इन एवरी रिलीजन, इन एवरी एथनिसिटी, एवरी ट्राइब, एवरी कास्ट, यू विल फाइंड गुड पीपल, यू विल फाइंड बैड पीपल. सो एंगेज विद द गुड पीपल, एलिमिनेट द बैड पीपल. So what I'm saying is, engage with good people, eliminate the bad. Our thing about the Northeast was ignore everybody. We did not make roads in the Northeast for more than 60-65 years. हमने सड़कें नहीं बनाई. लॉजिक क्या था कि चाइना जब इन्वेड करेगा तो चाइना के इन्वेड करते वक्त, if the roads are bad, then China will not invade. I swear. सड़कें खराब होंगी तो कैसे आएगा नीचे तक? आ ही नहीं पाएगा, सड़कें खराब है. चाइना को हम स्टॉल कर देंगे, बट ऐसे होता नहीं है. Today the thinking has changed. Today we are making roads. Today we are not saying कि चाइना नीचे तक आ जाएगा. आज ये हम सोचते हैं कि हम लेह से दौलत बेग ओल्डी कितनी जल्दी पहुंच सकते हैं. The entire mindset has changed and we have become far more aggressive. We are not saying China will come to Leh. We are saying we will go to Daulat Beg Oldi. How far can we go? जहां पे हफ्ते लगते थे, पैदल चलना पड़ता था, आज की तारीख में 5 घंटे में आप कंफर्टेबली पहुंच जाते हैं. there has been a change in the mindset. Now, about Northeast especially, sir. Northeast जो है ना, typically क्या है कि Northeast has been unstable for 1,000 years. मीडिया का जमाना है तो हमें पता लग जाता है. Tribes have been fighting against tribes forever and ever in the Northeast. Even the conflicts that you see between Methi and Kuki and all that you read in the newspapers, ये आज की conflict है. या even among tribes, amongst the Nagas, ये आज की conflict है. ये तो कब से चली जा रही है. There is a tribe of Nagas called the Konyaks, and I've got some Konyak friends. So I am the only non-Konyak who can make Konyak jokes and still keep my head. The reason why I'm saying still keep my head because Konyaks were headhunters. And जब एक कोनियाक लड़के की शादी होती थी तो लड़की वाले ये चेक करते थे कि उसके घर के आगे कितने दुश्मनों के सर लटके हुए हैं, तो ये दामाद बनने के लायक है. वो किसके सर काट रहे थे? 300-400 years back. Whose heads were they cutting? So this warfare has continued. It was like the rest of India. The rest of India में same thing was happening. Northeast क्योंकि थोड़ा सा isolated है. Isolated क्या है? The geographical expanse of Northeast is too much.
Yeah.
And the population is very little. So you can walk for 3-4 days in the jungle and not encounter one single human being. That is true for the Northeast. So it was always isolated, but now it's coming into the mainstream. And that is what, sir. Talk to the people. That is the only solution. इसमें कोई military solution नहीं है. ना Northeast में, ना कश्मीर में, ना कहीं. अब कश्मीर शांत हुआ 370-35 से हटाने के बाद. 370-35 से हट गया, कश्मीर शांत हो गया. कश्मीर 30 years of military operation से contained था, शांत नहीं था, contained था. शांत कब हुआ? Because you removed that thorn in the side. Now it's healing. It will take 10 more years to heal. But it will heal. You need healing for the Northeast also. Dialogue, sir. That is the only way forward. Engage with the people. लोग अकलमंद हैं, लोग समझते हैं. If you talk to people, people are smart. Don't talk at people. Talk to people. Talk nicely, and they will respond. And people from Northeast, sir, I've grown up in the Northeast.
So, is it an internal problem or external influence as well?
External influence तो होगा इसकी, बिल्कुल होगा. घर में दो भाई लड़ते हैं तो बाहर वाला फायदा उठाता है. बाहर वाले की गलती थोड़ा है. एक्सटर्नल इन्फ्लुएंस है. चाइना पैसे दे. आज की तारीख में परेश बरुआ कहाँ है? परेश बरुआ is the head of Ulfa. He created Ulfa with a lot of other people. Raj Khova and other people were there. Paresh Barua is the founding father of Ulfa. Paresh Barua is in China today. He's being kept by Chinese intelligence. So, ये होता है. This is there. Of course, outside influence. But let me tell you, outside influence, Rajasthan is a border state, right? Gujarat is a border state. उधर तो नहीं हुआ outside influence का कुछ. There are a lot of factors. हम लोग सोचते हैं ना कि factors सिर्फ religion को लेकर है या इसको नहीं. It could be one of the factors, but it is not everything. There are so many socio-economic and political factors which go into unsettling an area, and we don't look at it. We don't solve the problem in time. Then it becomes a bigger problem and a bigger problem and a bigger problem. And then somebody says, "Hey, here is an opening for us. Yeah, let's get involved." तो कौन कर रहा है? ये कौन है? परेश बरुआ. उसको बोलो क्या चाहिए? परेश बरुआ कहता है, "I need $10 million." ये लो $10 million. अब तुम ये काम करो. So suddenly, the largest terror enterprise in Assam starts working for the Chinese. That is how you give opening to your adversaries, by creating a problem yourself. Northeast, isolation of Northeast is created by New Delhi. Isolation of Northeast is not created by China. China took advantage. There is a recent book by one Mr. Bhattacharjee. It's, I'm going to read that book. I've not had the opportunity. Excerpts were posted in the media, and you know what he said? You know where the cadre of Ulfa was trained? You'll be very surprised. The top cadre of Ulfa was trained in Peshawar, Pakistan. Ulfa, Assam mein. They were trained in Kandahar. Why Kandahar? Kandahar is the birthplace of the Taliban. Kandahar was where the Taliban took birth. Taliban पैदाइश कंधार की है. So how do you will never imagine Assam, the jungles of the Northeast, connecting to something that is in the extreme west as far as they are concerned, thousands of kilometers away, and they are getting trained there. Pakistan takes advantage, and how? China could have trained them. China gave money to Pakistan. You trained them. हम नहीं कुछ करेंगे. We want deniability. कल अगर कोई इंडिया यूएन ले जाए कि चाइना तुमने बदमाशी करी, क्या बोलेंगे? हमें पता ही नहीं है कौन उल्फा, हम तो जानते ही नहीं. पाकिस्तानियों से बात करो. And that is what China did, and Pakistan trained Ulfa. They trained them in propaganda. They trained them in making improvised explosive devices, selected assassinations. They trained them in every single thing, how to fight with the Indian Army and security forces in Assam. That is what they did.
Okay. I am going to stop the video here. And we will then continue in the part 2 with the rest. Wow. Just every time, you guys, every time I watch anything about India, it just makes me feel like how yeah, I keep on saying that, but it's just so wildly different. So in terms of the northeast, as he was speaking, I was just trying to pull up the map just to see, and I've done video on Nagaland, and hi to all the Nagaland tribe of this channel. So we kind of discussed this a bit before about like why it has been neglected, and he's talked about it. I'm just curious. So what is currently happening in, you know, Arunachal Pradesh, Assam, Manipur, Mizoram, Tripura, Meghalaya? I don't know if I'm pronouncing this, Sikkim. There are a lot of territories, like countries in a country. So like, I would love to know from the common people of this channel, like how are things being developed there, since, you know, like it looks like that the government is going to be investing more money and improving things. I would love to know, like, what does that actually look like in day to day? Are you happy? You know, are you getting more roads? I don't know, more toilets, whatever there is, because he said that the population is not that great. There is a lot of jungle, etc. So it would be just I would just be genuinely curious to see like how you feel the development as opposed to maybe the rest of the India going on. So another question that I have for you guys, he mentioned at the very start that the India is going to exceptionally develop in the next 5 years. It's a shame that the interviewer hasn't picked it up, and because I would have loved, why does he believe that? So honestly, like, I know that you're aspiring to be like the third biggest economy very soon, but I would love to know, like, what do you think that he means that the acceleration is going to be down to in the comments? That would be super, super helpful. And there was one more thing. Then he's saying about 2047 when India is going to become a developed country. So what do you guys think about it? Do you think that it's achievable, not achievable? He's just saying that you, as India, should aspire to close the gap much faster. It still feels like quite a while away. So I would just be curious to know what you think about him saying that. And as always, it's a very fascinating talk by Major Arya. Yeah, it's for me, obviously, it's interesting when he talks about this part of the world, this kind of conflict that's happening over here, and always very, very enlightening. I don't know how you guys feel, like if you feel like, yeah, now I've gained more knowledge because I watched this video. Do let me know in the comments. And with that being said, thank you so much for watching this video with me. If you did enjoy, please give a thumbs up, share, like, and subscribe to this channel, and I will see you in a part 2 very, very soon. Until then, please do take care. I am sending much love. Bye bye.